Good morning, YouTube. So we have 8 or 9 for today. We'll see how many we get done. Um, Trailer's loaded up. My dad's in the truck, so he wanted to work early with me, and I was like, "All right, Dad, like you can come on with me." Um, but what a day or what a week I've had so far. Last couple days, like I showed you guys, things are breaking. Popped 2 tires. My AC needs to be fixed. One of my latches for my trailer broke. Yeah, I don't even, I'm sure there's other things that I'm missing. Oh yeah, new brakes. So my truck needs new brakes. The list goes on and on. So that's just what it takes to be a business owner, I guess. Things are gonna break, and it's gonna take a good chunk of your sales and your profit and whatnot. But whatever. Today, what do we want to talk about today? So today I did want to talk about trying to think. Give me a second to think. So we can talk about when you should leave your full-time job today, and I can kind of tell you guys my backstory. But right off the bat, boss man left a comment on yesterday's video, and pretty much he retired from the army, and I think he kind of fell off, and now he's starting again. I don't know. I can't really remember, but pretty much he wants to build generational wealth. And it's funny because me and my dad, he's over there, we were actually just having this conversation, a couple days ago when we were in the truck. And pretty much what I was telling him was that our generation, or his generation, which obviously affected my generation or me, we think our mindset is we work hard and we save up as much as we can so that when we retire, we can live off of that savings or that nest. And that's pretty much why why us Hispanics or Mexicans work so hard or have so many jobs, because we probably all think the same. Like, I need to be working 2-3 jobs, save up so that either I can take that money back to, their country and live off of that for the rest of their lives. Or if they stay here, which I know a good chunk of them or a good percentage of them end up just staying here, and then just plan to retire with whatever money, that they've made throughout their life. And that's how I was. That's why it is so easy for me to save money and be frugal and be cheap, because one, I grew up very poor. So when I start getting some type of money in my pocket, it's very easy for me not to go out and buy new things or buy new shoes, clothing, or new clothes. And I did, like anyone else, I did have a period where I was spending my money, but it lasted, a couple months. And then I got that out of my system. But it wasn't until I met my wife, and in full disclosure, she is white, and obviously I'm Mexican. But it wasn't until I met her side of the family, or I met her and then her side of the family, and their mindset, their thinking was different. Her side of the family is like, he's like, you need to buy real estate, you need to buy businesses, you need to do something that you're not touching and will make you money 24/7. And that is the main reason why I got into real estate, was just from talking to her mom and dad, or stepdad. And we were just just talking, and I was picking the brain, and ultimately I was like, yeah, like, you're right, my mindset or my thinking isn't necessarily bad or wrong, but if I do want to get ahead and build generational wealth, I need to start buying assets, opposed to, I just needed to change my way of thinking. And that's why I got into real estate. And in one of my videos I said, like, I have probably like two or three properties that have doubled in price. And if shit hits the fan, if I want to retire and live like a very comfortable life, I can just sell everything and live by the beach with my wife, or I can pass it on to my kids and their kids, and then I am trying to build generational wealth, and me starting my business literally just gave me like a power boost. And I've talked about this before, but the biggest accomplishment that I did was last year in April 2024. Around this time, I left my job. Me putting in all the hours on building this led to me finally leaving my full-time job and doing this full-time and having a worker. Now my setup's nice. I have a new truck, but it was literally like 4 years of me clocking in, clocking out, not always getting paid, learning from my mistakes, underbidding myself left and right, getting discouraged. But day after day, I would still get up and come out and do this because I know that it would lead me to this. And this is just the starting point. I know if I keep this up, the sky's the limit, but I feel you. So, Bossman, actually, I know I wanted to talk about when to leave your 9-to-5 job, but Bossman actually got me in my feelings now talking about generational wealth, because I do think it is a very important topic. And let's be honest, most, if you're a minority, most of us minorities, like, we don't think about generational wealth, or we don't think about buying assets. We think about what Mr. Johnson's or what Robert, what they think about us. So we get a new truck, chains, new clothes, Jordans, Nikes, and we literally just end up spending our money on like dumb things so we can look like we know, like we have our act together when we don't. And again, I went through that phase too, but I also did my homework. I've read like dozens of books talking, about millionaires or self-made millionaires. And the one common factor that they all have is that they all own some type of real estate. So it could be commercial, residential, or just land. As I was saying, we just don't think like that. We have our thinking all backwards. And I was fortunate enough to go out and seek that information, because they definitely don't teach you this in school. And like I said, like my wife's family, like that's all they do. And that's why, they're very wealthy. They built generational wealth. And I was able to, share some information from them. But I didn't think like that. My thinking was like my dad's, which I'm sure a lot of people think like that. And it's work hard, stay with a company, and then they'll take care of you. And then you find out that they let you go because they're trying to save money or whatever, and you're screwed. And you kind of have to do things or take things into your own matter or into your own hands. So I'm trying to close this and trying to talk. There you go. And I love my dad, and this is coming from a good place. But my dad, he didn't invest in real estate. He didn't invest in the stock market. And he did what he could. Again, I am a first Mexican American generation, so what he accomplished already is way more than what I ever will accomplish in my lifetime. I wouldn't be obviously where I am today without him, because I can only imagine all the hurdles he had to do. He came to a country where he didn't know the language, and he did the best that he could. But what we should do is, generation after generation, we should improve. But a lot of us lower class, people, or the minority, mainly speaking, like, if I'm being honest, I'm sure I can look up a fact about it, but it's Mexicans and blacks. We don't think like that. Like I said, we want to keep up with the Joneses. the Johnsons or whatever that saying is. So you need an exit plan. What are you gonna do when you're too old, when you're my dad's age and you can't work anymore, but you still have bills, you know? And right now you're young, you're probably not thinking about it, or even if you're getting to that point where you know your body's giving out and you can't physically keep torturing your body, either if you're doing yard work or any job that's physically demanding at that age. You know, time is running out, and that's scary. And I thought about that very, very early on in my age, and I was like, I don't want that to be me. And that's why, like I said in one of my other videos, from the age of 18 till 26, probably 27, I saved up about 70 or 80% of my income. And I was just gonna save it until I was gonna retire. And then I met my wife's family, and they're like, no, like it's just sitting in the bank earning what, like 0.05% a year. He's like, buy real estate. And I did that, and that just changed my thinking. I saw the world differently. I did dabbled into the stock market, but I was I was very reckless. I was trying to do like day trades or trading options. So if you're going to invest in the stock market, do it, you know, buy good companies that are going to stick around, and, you know, within the next 10, 15, 20 years, once you buy a certain stock, just don't touch it, leave it there and let the market do its thing. And it's the same thing with real estate. If you're going to buy real estate, it's all about location. And then pretty much what's going to happen is, because you didn't think about the future you, it's going to fall off onto your kids. And you just don't realize how much pressure that adds to them, because not only do they have to now take care of their own family, which is like, you know, their kids, their wife, granddaughters, grandbabies, whatever, grandson, and then you, and then on top of that, you, because you just didn't think about it. You just lacked that type of knowledge or wisdom. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's not our fault, but it is, you know, because it's just things that we don't really think about. And, you know, and the systems that we have don't really teach us these things. You really have to go out there and seek it. But there should be something in your brain or in your mind that's going off saying like, I can't continue to work like this for the rest of my life because my body is going to give out. What's my exit strategy, or what do I need to do today and the next 5 to 10 years to get to a safe spot, or get somewhere where even though I'm retired, I can, you know, I can live the comfortable life, still go on vacations. If you want to order takeout, you're able to. You're not on a fixed income. Nor should you depend on you know, your social security check, because, you know, we don't even know if that's still going to be around, or if they're going to keep, you know, taxing it, and you keep getting less and less year after year. So you can't expect our government or your government to kind of take care of you. You just have to take things into your own hands. So great topic. I appreciate the comment, because, you know, it's crazy that not that many people think about these things, but there are people that do think about it. And again, it takes years, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of people think that, you know, oh, if I invest in the stock market by next year, you know, I'll quadruple my money. No, you might actually lose you might lose everything that you invest. Because I've lost a good bit of money doing day trading. But that's for another video. But anyways, like always, like, subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Peace.